Relax. Woo. Sorry.
Okay. Joining us now is Jeff Gordon, driver the number 24 drive-in Hunger Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. He qualified 6th out here today for the 13th annual Geico 400. But certainly, Jeff, it's been an eventful day for you. Just talk a little bit about that and your outlook for Sunday's race here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Well, I mean, you know, we came into the day really just focused on doing what we do. This is actually had a really great race going here last year, and you know, had our issues. So to me, that was all we were focused on doing was putting together another solid race, regardless of what was going on. And of course, it was hard to not you know, hear rumblings about what may occur, what may not occur, and we just try not to get our hopes up or get our mind focused on that. But I'll admit, you know, it's been a rough week. It was a lot of up and downs of emotions for this entire team this week, and they've been through a lot, and they, you know, they never gave up. Not only Saturday night, but this entire week, and I'm proud of that, and I'm very appreciative, very thankful to be in, and I know it's under you know, the most unbelievable circumstances I've ever been a part of in my racing career, and I wish that all this hadn't happened. I wish that we could have just raced for it on Saturday night, but that wasn't the case, and now here we are as a 13th car and now we just try to take it, that opportunity and make the most of it.
All right, we'll go with Jenna, Lee, and Claire.
Jennifer, Jeff, two things. Number one, you've seen a lot of things in NASCAR, but I imagine you've never seen anything like this before. So did you at any point think that you had a shot at getting this overturned this way and getting into the chase? And two, earlier this week you tweeted that you felt bad for Martin. So in any sense, do you kind of wish that there had been a ruling that maybe he could have gone into the chase?
Well, what I felt bad about with Martin was, you know, the circumstances which he got in under, and then for that to be taken away, you know, that you know, to be on that stage after the race is over, to feel like, you know, that pressure was off, that they made it in, you know, and I know what that's like. And he drove his butt off. You know, I raced with him in the closing laps, and you know, he raced hard, and you could tell what he was racing for. So the guy didn't do anything wrong, and you know, for that I felt bad for him. But we didn't get to see the race play out. Right, so we don't really know what the results were going to be because of those circumstances of that spin. That changed everything, and you know, that's I mean, that to me is the only reason why I'm accepting even being in under 13, because, you know, under normal circumstances I would say no, that's not right, but under these circumstances I feel there's enough reason for us to be in, and I know how hard we worked and that we earned the right to be in.
Let's go to Lee and then to Claire.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. When did you find out, and what were your emotions? I talked to Alan Gustafson earlier, and he said that, you know, he felt, you know, even to the closing laps, that you guys were chase contenders and should have been in, and, you know, expected that to be the case.
I found out when you guys found out. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you guys knew before me. I was watching on Fox Sports 1, you know. That's when I found out. You know, we haven't had the best of seasons. And I think that you know, that's not an unknown thing, right? We all know what we've gone through this year, but you know, we went through a lot last year, and we got to play it out to the final lap of the race last year. We made it in, and this year, you know, we had that same scenario, being played out, and we were fighting to the checkered flag, and basically doing a similar thing with somebody else's misfortune. You know, that the 22 was just having a bad day, and we were going to make it in. You know, so to me, the previous races leading up to that, this team really started turning the corner and started putting a string of races together that really put us in that position, as well as taking advantage of that opportunity that was there Saturday night. And even though we got 2 laps down and had our issues and had to fight back from it, we were still doing what we needed to do. And you know, that right now is the thing that stands out the most to me, of how proud I am of how this team just never ever gives up, and that's what we did in the race on Saturday. And I'll be honest, you know, by Tuesday this week, you know, I was letting go of my anger and the things that I felt like kept us from being in it, and was ready to move on, and had the most unbelievable support from my fans this week. You know, that's what the beauty of Twitter. You know, we all know Twitter can work both ways on you, and in this case, what I love about social media is, you know, years ago, back when I won my last championship, you know, I had no connection to the fans to this level other than being at the racetrack, going to an autograph session, going to an event for sponsors. And now, you know, I'm able to see what everybody's thinking and what they're saying, and it's unbelievable. And I've never felt so much support than I did, and also anger as well. Like you know, our fans were feeling it right along with me, and it was pretty wild and crazy to watch how that was all playing out this week. And so I you know, I was ready to move on, and then when I saw the stuff with the 22 and the 38, I was like, you know, what's going to come of this? And sort of brought on possibly some new hope.
Go to Claire, Jim, and then Woody Kane.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I have 2 questions. The first is about the meeting tomorrow that NASCAR will have with the drivers. Where do you think the integrity of the sport stands, and what do you want to find out tomorrow at that meeting? How vocal will you be?
Well, one thing I want to bring up on this, I'm excited about that meeting tomorrow. I am, you know, even though I think we're going to get reprimanded a little bit, you know, because it doesn't all lie on NASCAR. We all have a responsibility in this, but we are fierce competitors, and I don't think a fierce competitor can ever be, you know, torn down by trying to do everything they possibly can, you know, to win a race, to be in a championship battle, to win the championship, and in some ways even, you know, to help out their teammates who helped them get to that point. That's what you got to understand. It's not just giving up something, you know, for a friend or something like. It's you work as a team, and in our situation, it's one of the most unique because the multi-car teams. It is one of the most unique, and so because of that competitive drive, it pushes us sometimes to do things that even we, you know, question. And I think that through all this, you know, I think that yes, the integrity of the sport has been put at question, and I think we have one of the greatest sports that exists, and to see our integrity get questioned is very upsetting to me, and I think that we, along with NASCAR, have to solve this, and I'm glad that we are going to get this opportunity to do this. I wish it had not happened in these circumstances. I really do wish we could have come to this conclusion sooner, but sometimes that's just not the case. But we are going to move forward, and we're going to be a better sport, you know, tomorrow and on Sunday and in the future because of this circumstance. You got to take a negative and turn it into a positive, and I believe that's what's going to happen.
And a quick follow-up. I know your fans were just so upset and stood up for you big time, like I've never seen. Were you, and you were angry, we knew that. Did you contact NASCAR and ask them for anything, or did you know, you found out about it through the media, but were you that angry that you got involved in saying, I want something out of this?
No. I heard from NASCAR about what the penalties were going to be on whatever it was, Monday.
Monday night.
Yeah. As I'm sure that, they were reaching out to probably a lot of individuals, especially those that probably were somehow affected by this. And, and I gave my opinion. Some of it I agreed with, some of it I didn't agree with, and I told them that via text. And then I called Mike Helton on Wednesday to tell him, that I know he has tough decisions to make, and we might not always agree with them, but I support him, and I'm ready to go to Chicago and go race. And we didn't talk about anything else other than that. And that's it. That's all I've done this week.
We'll go to Jim Utter.
I mean, a few tweets here and there.
Yeah. Jim Utter, Woody Kane,
And my very supportive wife.
Marty Smith. Go ahead, Jim, off to the left there, Jeff.
Jim Utter, Shell Observer. That's more than she's tweeted, I think, in the last 6 months.
My wife is very passionate and supportive, and trust me, I said no to her a lot more than the ones I said yes to. So I'm just glad that these days she seems to at least run it by me before she sends it.
good.
Not every time.
Kind of a follow-up to the previous question. You talked about you probably guys will get reprimanded tomorrow. NASCAR will address with the participants what it expects to see going forward. For the fans mostly, and even anyone who follows the sport right now, there seems to be a lot of doubt about what, or maybe some growing doubt about what they see on the track. Is it legitimate? NASCAR, of course, will address with you guys your actions going forward. How difficult will it be, do you think, to undo the skepticism that may have creeped in the minds of fans or even kind of casual people who just happen to pay attention?
Yeah, when it comes down to making it in the chase, when it comes down to in that final, and it seems like it's the final race where it really comes into play, and then the final race of the season for the championship, there's no doubt that for as many years as I've been a part of this sport, there are circumstances in which a teammate can try to help out. If that is, race a guy maybe a little bit hard, or move over for somebody. I mean, that's just kind of been standard practice, in the sport. But it continues to get more and more competitive. There's more on the line. There's more prestige, more money, just more competition that's driving the sport all the time. And as long as things like that have been acceptable, sometimes, and I loved what Mike said in that press conference, there are times when things need to change. And this has probably been coming for a couple years now and needed to change sooner. But I just like the fact that some things are going to change, because all we all want to do is race our guts out every single lap. None of us want to go out there and give up a spot or race somebody different because our teammate is running for a championship. We want to go out there racing for every position, every lap, as hard as we can. So, but anybody in our position as a team owner, when you know it all is on the line, as a driver, as a crew chief, there are extreme circumstances where we're in that position to be able to help, and that to me doesn't necessarily make it right. And there are boundaries still, even with those moves, but the boundaries have been continuing to be pushed further and further, and the line's been crossed. And I'm more looking forward to the future than looking and bringing back things in the past.
We'll go 4 more questions. Woody, Marty, Nate, and Reed. Woody Kane?
Woody came with MRN in the middle, Jeff, toward the back. You touched on it a little bit, but clearly a lot of this was magnified because it was Richmond, and as you mentioned, this type of thing, it has been going on for a while. How concerned are you that at the meeting tomorrow we may go too far the other direction and not be able to, I don't know, let a teammate pull up on your bumper and get paper off, or in the middle of the season, not fight so hard for a teammate to get by? Is there a concern that this is a very fine line and it needs to be gotten exactly right?
There is a concern for that, and I think it's a good question, but there's more concern to me that we get to Homestead and have this come up again. So it needs to be addressed, and usually what happens in a situation that gets to this magnitude, there is going to be an overreaction, and you understand that and accept that, and it might need to be modified over time, but I think right now an overreaction is probably the acceptable reaction.
We'll go Marty, Nate, and then end with Reed. Marty Smith, far left.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Jeff, Monday night I'm way back in
there you are,
the
Marty.
cheap seats, dude. You noted that you felt like the person that triggered the entire chain of events here got nothing. What would have been an acceptable penalty to you, to the 15 car? And I'll stop there. What is an acceptable penalty to you?
I mean, I do see it differently when it comes to that. I do think that event is what started all this, what really magnified this to a whole nother level. And I also know that NASCAR, I can't see what all they're dealing with. I'm not in that room. I'm not hearing all the different sides to it. And so I do give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to these types of decisions, because they have a lot to think about and what affects those decisions. But to me, yeah, it seemed like they did an overall penalty for MWR that sort of dealt with it, but not really, and turned the focus over to what they could prove with the 55 and the radio communication. But that what's acceptable, I don't know. I mean, but something. I mean, to me, a 50-point fine, pre-chase was no penalty. That's all I was upset about. Was, I felt like it was pretty clear, and I felt like that's what started all this, and that didn't really get addressed.
You think it was purposeful?
It's going to be addressed tomorrow, though.
You think it was purposeful?
I do. Yeah, I feel that way.
Okay, let's go two more, Nate and then Reed. You got one, Bob? We'll finish with Bob in the back. Go ahead, Nate, Reed, and then Bob.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Jeff, you were talking about integrity. How, beyond just being, I guess, proactive and having this meeting tomorrow and coming out and trying to explain what's going to be different, what else can the sport do to reestablish what might have been lost, and how much do you think has been lost? And is it just a matter of NASCAR saying, hey, we're addressing this, we're going to try to fix it? Does that go a ways in terms of restoring some of that?
No, I think actions speak louder than words always, right? So it's us going on Sunday and racing as hard as we possibly can for every position, battling it out for a championship, and making sure that when we leave here on Sunday, there's no radio communication that the media gets a hold of that they've recorded that can say anything otherwise, other than we're out there with the intensity and just the passion and excitement that this sport is built on, that's known for, and what it's all about. And I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be the case prior to this meeting, but certainly after this meeting, I think it's going to be clear for the next 10 weeks and on.
Reed, and then finish with Bob. Go ahead, Reed.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire Service. Jeff, now that you're in the chase and playing with house money, so to speak, can you write the rest of the script and win the thing?
Well, I always like to say that you got to walk before you can run, but I will say this has lit a fire under us. I mean, just to go through what we went through Saturday night, and really I look at last year too. We went through that wild and crazy race and made it in the chase under those circumstances. And we came here, ready to go. And I loved the way we handled ourselves, even though we had, the throttle issue. I mean, we were running third or fourth in that race, and to me, we had a shot at either winning or top 5. And in some funny way, this has kind of given us that same fire that we had last year. And we have 10, or at least 8, I'd say, good racetracks that are in the chase that I really like, that we run well at, and it starts right here in Chicago. This is a good track for us. We qualified well. New Hampshire's a great track for us. Martinsville's a great track for us. Obviously, Homestead's a great track. We ran great in Charlotte. I mean, I would say Kansas and Phoenix are the 2 that are probably on our radar that we need to do better at. Texas is another good track for us. So I'm excited. I know we haven't shown it yet this year, but this team's ready to show it now. So, I think that's the one thing is when you get yourself in this position, you want to show the world, in our racing community, the ones that support us and then the ones that didn't, that we belong here. And there's a reason why we're in this thing.
Final question all the way in the back, Bob.
Bob Dillner, Fox Sports 1. Jeff, we hear a lot of stories in the garage area through the years. You, from your personal, side of things, over 20-plus years of racing, have you ever been helped by a teammate? Has a teammate ever helped you? And what is acceptable and what is not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've helped a teammate, by either helping them at Talladega or, helping them by, I'm trying to think in my mind of thinking of a circumstance where somebody said, move over for this person. I don't remember that, but I'm sure it has happened because honestly, that it hasn't been out of line in my opinion. It's been sort of this is what happens, especially championships. If you see what you can do to help your teammate, but you don't go wreck another guy out there to win the championship for them. There are certain lines, and I think that the lines have been obviously crossed in this situation.
Jeff, thank you very much for coming in, and good luck in the chase.
Appreciate it. I'll look into it for you, though, Bob, if I can come up with one.